Good evening. Let's get started. This is a fantastic group. Thank you for being with us on a Tuesday evening. My name is Chairman Tom Faris. Before we get started, let's start with a pledge and a prayer. I believe there was a pastor here this morning who said that they would be with us this evening. Are you here? Okay. Do I have a volunteer for the pledge and a volunteer for the prayer? We need both, ladies and gentlemen. Come on up. Please.
Our Father in heaven, as we come before Thee as a community this evening, we are grateful for the blessings of life, for our families, our loved ones, and for this country in which we live, which provides freedom, that we might express our views, that we might be able to have joy in our homes, in our families. We're grateful for our community, for the privilege it is to live here in this area. We thank Thee for the wonderful weather that we've had in the rain. We're grateful for all these blessings, and we pray for Thy blessings upon this meeting, that we might be respectful of each other's opinions and that we might be able to express ourselves, and we do so humbly in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance Okay, we've got a few dignitaries with us today. We've got Supervisors Goodman and Supervisor House. We've got folks from RUCO, the governor's office, with us today. You guys want to wave and say hello? I believe we have Buck Davis with us from Senator Flake's office, and we have representatives from ADEQ from the governor's office here with us today. Let's get right into it. I'd like to turn the time over to Commissioner Dunn for some comments and sort of a background to explain how this process works, and then we'll get right into having you come and make those public comments.
Well, thank you, Chairman. I have to be the rule maker, I guess. Thank you for being here. This is a period of time where we want to hear from you. As you know, there's a rate case that's been filed. It's a rate case that this commission requested to be filed. And it's going to be a lengthy process of looking into all the records of the utility involved. We cannot discuss this case today, but we want to hear from you. The most important thing is that whatever you say is being recorded by this individual. So it's going to be part of the official docket, something we can refer to later. Also, if you have a written statement, don't feel like you need to read it necessarily. Give it to this lady right here, and she'll be happy to include it in the record. The general rules is to show respect to each of us. Whoever's speaking, I would encourage you not to clap or cheer or boo, whatever the case may be. Respect that individual, and we'll give you 3 minutes. That doesn't sound, that's a long period of time to speak. You don't have to repeat what's been said unless you wish to do so. But I would just ask that within that 3 minutes, I'll give you one of us will give you kind of a warning about a minute left, and if you can stay within that 3-minute period of time. It's worked well today, I understand, to let everyone who wants to speak be able to get that done within the 2-hour period of time that we have. So with that, again, we are looking for transparency. We know that there have been issues that we're going to hear. We're well aware of those issues. If we can't answer your questions, please understand we can't have ex parte communication with you at this stage. We're here to listen, to get all the facts, and this is the important part of the process, is your public comment, which will again occur when we have the hearing, but is occurring now too at a place that's more convenient to you. So any questions? Okay, with that, Mr. Chairman, let me just say the chairman is here after you had some oral surgery today, right? he's very worried he's going to mumble his words or say something he doesn't mean to say. So I'll be happy to do the honors today, and we'll have a great time to hear from your points of view. So with that, I will go with the cards that have been submitted, and I'll ask you to come up to the podium, and at that time, feel free to give us your thoughts. And the first person is Scotty Eisenhart, right up front. Welcome, Scotty.
Thank you for having me. Okay. Thank you for having me here this evening. Thank you to our representatives from the government. I've been a resident of Santan Valley since 2006, and we're all aware of the number of issues that we've had with Johnson Utilities. I've stayed in Santan Valley because I love the area, I love the community, and this is where I'm raising my family, despite the issues that we've had with Johnson Utilities. I adamantly oppose any kind of increase, and I wish further investigation to the point of that I hope that the utility may be placed in somebody's responsible hands. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Ted Leach, please. Ted, welcome, sir.
Hi there. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for taking your time out of your busy day. I wanted to let you all know that I think you got the cart before the horse. We're asking for a rate increase, but we're delivering this. This is the first pre-filter in my house. This is what we're brushing our teeth with. This is what's going through our water softeners, our house and everything. That's supposed to be white like my shirt. That's what it is originally. That's 6 months of silt that's being pumped into my house, and I don't think I'm the only one, excuse me, that's receiving water like that. I think this needs to be fixed before we talk about a rate increase. I don't mind, excuse me, I don't mind a rate increase, a responsible one, but fix the product first before you ask for a rate increase, okay? Anybody, did you want to keep that for evidence?
I'm sure
by the way, that's a 5-micron filter. It traps particles 5 millionths of an inch or larger. So that's what it's capturing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. If you want to leave it behind, you certainly can.
All righty.
Okay.
I'll just put it over. No.
Okay, we'll give it to staff. They'll certainly. Jeff, is it Karachi? Or, forgive me, it's Kiarich? KL, I'm sorry. Thank you, Jeff.
I've been called worse.
I have too.
This is going to be in a form of a question. I don't expect you to answer it. Last summer, Channel 12.5 came out, or Channel 12 News came out and did a report and aired it. They also talked to a spokesperson at the ACC. The ACC said that over 400 complaints last year with Johnson Utilities, 98% of those have been resolved. That's not true. Who did the ACC rely on to get those figures? Johnson Utilities? If you did, you got duped because these issues weren't taken care of. The water usage. The only thing I can say about that is opening up your monthly bill, it's like opening up a box of Cracker Jacks. You never know what you're going to get. You know, from one month to the next. Did I use 14,000 gallons or did I use 59,000 gallons? 59,000 gallons, my yard to be flooded. That's crazy. Water pressure. I went to fill my washer machine up to wash a load, not even a full load. It took 10 minutes. 10 minutes to fill up a washing machine. And when that washing machine is going, you can't run anything else. You got no pressure. I talked to them at Johnson Utilities about the pressure, and they were really proud that they said, we only have to provide 25%, or 25 pounds per square inch. And she was so proud of that, that's all they have to provide. You know, what's really sad is we're held hostage. We have nowhere else that we can go. Now, you guys can go home, because I assume you don't live in Johnson Ranch. You can drink your water. Everything's great. We can't. We can't drink the water here. It's a sad situation. Something's got to be done. And then now they want a rate increase? Maybe somebody should go back and look at their books and see how much profit he's made in the last 5 years. That's all I got to say.
Question for you. 59,000 gallons? Do you have a...
No, that wasn't me. Well, I've got one here where I've got a printout here, and I'll give it to you. Last October, I'll start in April, or May. 5,000, June 6,000, July 8,000, August 12,000, September 9,000, October 8,000, November 10,000, December 14,000, January 3,000. How could I have used 11,000 gallons less water in 1 month and nothing changed in my house?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I'll give you one. Next will be Julie Cruz. Welcome, Julie.
I'm going to pretend without this microphone. So thanks for coming and doing this. And I'm with him on the water pressure. I wouldn't mind a rate increase if they would increase their office hours so that people can call after work, not till 4:45, and they close an hour for lunch, so they're open 7 hours and 45 minutes a day. People can't call them on Saturdays. They're not open. They can't call them at night when they're off of work. You question your water meter, have it tested, they want us to pay for it, and then they don't show us anything from their lab results to show how whether it was or not, was or wasn't working. If you have an incident with a pump or contamination, why is it taking them a week, 10 days, or 2 weeks to notify us? Or why are they notifying a school and not the public when there's an incident with a pump that could poison some people? They need to be more transparent with us if they want a rate hike, and to show us how what they want to do with this rate hike. It's not fair to us to fork out more money when they're jacking our bills up and down every month with water readings and not telling us when the water's damaged. And they don't have hours. And if you want to pay a bill at line, if I pay my bill from Chase.com, Chase has to actually write a check and mail it to them. And that's another 7 to 10 days to get a check to them. I can pay my phone bill or any other bill from a Chase.com and it's there in 2 days. And they don't want to update their system so you can do online bill payment with them and get the bill there on time. But if you're a day late, they're going to shut your water off. And you've been there 15 years and you're a day late because of their system. And they want a rate increase? How is that fair to us, the people paying their bills, for them to pay? You know, just check everything out, all their records, not just their rate increase to expand the pipes or whatever they want to do with it. They need to explain to us what they want to do with this rate increase before they get a rate increase. A little fairness to us.
Thank you, Julie. Terry Turner, you're next. Is Terry here? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, that's fine. Dave Carano, he likes to speak. Coming up, Dave. And the comments you make on these cards will also be part of the record.
Only the good words, huh? I like to say I had a problem with Johnson Utilities this past fall, this past summer. And I finally got a phone call from that office after, Tom, I sent you copies of the emails that I sent to Johnson Ranch. And there was like 5 months of emails, and I copied you on them. And it pertained to also the gallonage used. When I called, the first words out of their mouth, well, you probably have a leak. I don't have a leak. I live here all year round. I don't have a leak. Well, you must because you're using so much water. Do you want to come out here and look at this? I mean, there was a neighbor in my neighborhood, 77,000 gallons they were billed for. 77. If I had 77,000 gallons at the top of the cul-de-sac, you would have a flood running down into the wash. I've never lived in a state or the municipality where the meters were not changed at least once every 8 to 10 years. And I think that's what should be imposed here. If you want to raise my rates, I want a new meter, and I want it digitized. I want a digital meter that shows 1 gallon or 1.3 gallons used, not 5,000 gallons when I only used 4,000 gallons. I don't want to get billed for 5,000 gallons like you do with Johnson Utilities. I think we need to get a UL-approved company in here in this state to go over these meters, if they're going to be rebuilt or if they're any good. And we, as a consumer of that water, should be notified as to what the reading is of that meter once it's redone.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Wally Poppenberg.
Good evening. Thanks for this meeting. We just moved here a year ago, and in my employment, I was privileged to have traveled and moved in several different states. When I moved into our house, and I got to meet our neighbors, they said, the first question was, do you have a water purification system in your house? I go, what? What's a water purification system? So I looked underneath my sink, and there it was. So I called the plumber out because I had no idea what I was working with. And this gentleman here that showed that filter is what they dug out of mine. So then we're looking, and I'm visiting with other folks, and folks that don't have the system, they complain about odor coming out of their water, low pressure, all kinds of other issues. My concern with that, number one, is quality. And if the rates are increased, what guarantee do we have that the quality of our water is going to be increased? What's the guarantee? Or are we just going to pay for more hot air, more lip service, nothing happening? And the second thing is, what justification does he have for the increases? Is the poor guy broke? Is he living in a slum? He can't pay his bills? Please, someone tell us to justify this increase. He just got a 10% increase on his taxes. He just got it. And now he wants an additional 17 and 23? That's ridiculous. So that's all I'm asking folks is someone justify the rate increase. And if we're going to get a rate increase, for God's sakes, let's put something with teeth in there that guarantees our communities better water. That's all I got.
Thank you, Wally. We have this in case they do not wish to speak. Alistair and Sandra Hyde, is that still the case? We have your comments. Thank you. Angela Scott, are you here? Welcome, Angela.
First, I want to say thank you for giving us an opportunity to speak. And I want to say to the last gentleman, welcome to the community. For those of you who are new to the community, we've had a lot of rate hikes over the years, and they've all been justified before the increase with no action after the increase. So for a majority of us in here, we don't really care why they're stating they need an increase this time. We don't want to give them one. So I've marked off the water issues because I know we've talked about that a lot, but I'll go through these really fast. First, I have so much respect for you guys, but there's a big elephant in the room, and I know everybody is thinking it. And you don't have to answer, but we want to know if you've been bribed. Because a lot of people in here are thinking it. I have owned my home here in Santan Valley for 12 years. I have 2 young daughters. I had 3, lost 1 to cancer. And this community came out in force for me. This is one of the most hard-working communities I have ever lived in my life. For 3 months, I had dinners for my daughter. We have had no help in the 12 years that I've lived here dealing with this company. My friends won't even move here the minute you mention Johnson Utility. I'm up here to talk about the sewer problems because I live in Pecan Creek South. Thank you. My property value is not increasing at the rate that the surrounding neighborhoods are because of the constant sewer smell that we experience in our homes. The business across the street has already formed complaints that people won't even walk in the door when they get out of their cars and smell the smell. Why would you want ice cream after that? So before I move on, I invite you over to my house whenever you would like, and I would please ask you to drive that way down Ironwood on your way home tonight, because the chances are there's a smell coming from there. I can't even enjoy my backyard. And I know that you've seen complaints, but we get sewer coming up in some of the yards in the back toward the wash, coming up in the yards. Kids can't even play in the yards. My mom formed a complaint when she lived in the neighborhood, and Johnson Utility called her back. Here's what they mean by solved a complaint, closed a complaint. Johnson Utility called her and explained that the sewer was not processing through like it should. Pardon my language, her response was, "No shit." I will wrap it up. I think it's time for Mr. Johnson to use some of his own money for these improvements that we so desperately need, especially after the treatment of everyone in this community over the 12 years that I've been here, much longer for some of them. And again, I respect you a lot, but I'm going to start fighting back with my vote when it comes time to vote. And I'm going to make sure that I use signs in my yards of your opponents. I am so tired of what we have been through in this community. We don't deserve this. We are hardworking people. And again, I really appreciate you giving us the time to speak today. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Please. Okay, Joseph Bonacci? I probably didn't do the last name justice. I apologize. Oh, wow. Thank you. I practiced.
All right, so thank you for giving us the time to come out here today. Does this come off? Can I do that? All right, awesome. Is that legal? I appreciate the time. Anyway, I think it's all unanimous here that no one wants a rate increase, okay? I'm all about integrity and doing the right thing as a person, an individual, in any work that I do. It's all about giving quality to your customers, which is what the mission statement for Johnson Utility says. However, I think we all know that's not true. Okay, we just moved out here, my fiance and I, in April, and we absolutely love this area. We love our home. It's a great community. However, I just want justification as to why our water bill is more than both our electric and gas combined. I mean, seriously. We live in a 3-bedroom house. There's 2 of us and a cat. He's having cat parties. However, let me just read you, I just wanted to read my numbers here for our water usage, okay? Keep in mind, like I said, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet. April, 2,000. May, 5,000. June, 6,000. July, 10,000. Called and complained, you have a leak. No, I don't. Magically, August, 7,000. September, 4,000. October, 6,000. November, 9,000. December, 9,000. January, 10,000. I mean, I have nothing else to say. You guys have proof everywhere that this place is crooked. I mean, thank you. That's it.
Okay, Joseph, thank you. Please, thank you. Katie Sneed.
And just for staff, or in the morning meeting, I asked that when we have patterns that they are organized within the docket, if we could make sure that we have all of the leak claims all organized within the docket.
Please.
Hello. I'd like to ask you a few questions. I know you can't answer them. But my fiance who lives in Gilbert, who has my children half the time, his water bill is only $60 a month, whereas my water bill is $256 a month for the exact same amount of children half the time. Not only that, my sewer fees of $40, where Gilbert's $14. Please tell me what the difference is. I don't understand. Not only that, I have the same issue. I apparently had a leak when I was out of town the whole month of July. My house must have flooded because I was at 130,000 gallons of water. Please explain to me, when I have a $2,000 water bill when I was gone for the whole month of July. I come home, I don't have a water leak anywhere. The next month, my water's at 40,000. There's no sense in this. I would like to know why I'm paying a rate increase when my water bill is already outrageous as it is.
Thank you. Thank you, Katie. Anthony McWilliams. Okay. I do have their address on the card, but I can certainly ask them to, if you feel okay about giving your address, it's fine. Or the neighbor. Neighborhood's fine. Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Thank you all for having us out. Really appreciate it. From Circle Cross Ranch.
Okay.
We've been in the house about 4 years now, and I guess I should back up a little bit. I work at a water treatment plant. I work for one of the municipalities. I hold a grade 3 ADEQ operator certification for distribution, treatment, wastewater, and collections. I know water. I've worked with it a long time. I know quality water. When I first moved in, I noticed that didn't taste right, didn't smell right, so the first thing we did was put in a water system. Unfortunately, my municipality doesn't allow me to bring in other water samples for them to test. I wish they would have, because I'm sure it was awful. Since we've had the water system in, obviously we have no more issues after that. I've had no issues with the customer service or the water bills, because they've always been high. So I just pay them and move on. As for the rate increases, I don't understand how when a whole school has to turn off their water supply for 2 days, that you should increase your rates for that. In my municipality, we serve 250,000 people. We have never had that issue once. We've never had high nitrates. We've never had, if we have any little issues, we notify the public immediately. There's a 24-hour rule the ADEQ has, and as far as I'm concerned, Johnson Utilities has never followed that. They always say false positives, or a week later we might get a notice, oh, by the way, don't drink the water. Like, so should a water supplier really tell you not to drink their product? We've never had to do that. I work hand in hand. I'm an instrument technician. I work hand in hand with our water quality people. We do deal with small things, but nothing like this. So in preparation for this meeting, I thought I'd Google real quick, Johnson Utilities water complaints. I was reading for an hour and a half and I had to stop. Like, this is crazy. You all know the issues. Everyone's going to tell you the same thing over and over. Water quality, I don't mind paying a high price for a high quality product. I don't. But you cannot give the community what they're giving us and then say, oh, by the way, we need a little bit more money because we lost some money last year. Well, if it wasn't for all the lawsuits and the bribes, maybe they wouldn't lose so much money. So anyway, thank you very much for having us. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. George Keene.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm a resident of Solera at Johnson Ranch. I'm here tonight with several of my neighbors to share our views with the Commission regarding Johnson Utilities' request for a significant increase to its water and wastewater fees. We all own our homes and have lived in the community since 2008. Since that time, Johnson Utilities has been plagued with boil water notices, complaints of low water pressure, inaccurate meter readings, and foul odors. The company does not seem capable of solving these issues because they still persist. It appears to us that the company suffers from poor management and the infrastructure has been neglected. In reading the utilities application, we are concerned with a number of requests and comments. Firstly, Mr. Barassa, in his testimony, states that the company is where it is at, given its circumstances. The ratepayers are not responsible for where the company is at. It is the responsibility of the management, and they should own that responsibility. Secondly, when the utility was questioned on the methods of treatment for water, it was identified that one method was simply to add cleaner water to the water polluted with nitrates, thereby lowering the parts per million to an acceptable level. This might be acceptable to the state and the commission, but to the ratepayer and the consumer of the product, it is highly irregular and suspicious. I believe the ratepayer would prefer to have the nitrates eliminated from their drinking water. Thirdly, the utility is suggesting that the commission has no place in reviewing the rate being charged for effluent. The Johnson Ranch Golf Course is in close proximity to our home and is reliant on the effluent to irrigate the course. If the utility was to charge whatever they wanted for the effluent, there is a good chance the course would not be able to operate and consequently would probably go out of business. Should that happen, our property values would drop significantly. Johnson Utilities operates as a monopoly and therefore must be treated as one. It requires an overseer, which is you, the commission. Please do not abdicate your responsibilities. Fourthly, Johnson Ranch wants to use an operating margin approach to set its rates for water and sewer. It claims that it has lost money for the last 5 years, thus the capital cost approach is not appropriate. Creating an operating margin in the rate justifies 10% of the rate increase requested. If the utility is operating inefficiently, as many of the ratepayers believe, this will further exasperate the situation. Fifthly, Johnson Utility indicates that they are incurring huge chemical cost increases in its attempt to reduce odor complaints. When asked what the final solution is, they state that the wastewater plant must be updated and expanded. Asked when would this occur, the response was that it's at least a decade away. Chemicals should not be a short-term solution. Chemicals should be a short-term solution, but in this case, it's being used as an expensive long-term cure. The utility has also stated that its costs have increased because there has been significant increases in the volume of water produced and the wastewater treated since the last rate increase. This rate would only occur if there was a significant increase in the number of customers. The law of economy to scale should result. In other words, rates should go down because there are more customers and the cost to produce water and treat sewage per ratepayer should go down.
George, could you wrap up, or do you?
Yep, I'm just about there.
If you have a statement, please leave the statement with the court reporter, please. Thank you.
I will. According to the utility, this is not a case. We ask you, why isn't it? It is in every other business. In conclusion, Mr. Chairman, the ratepayers of Johnson Ranch have lost confidence in the utility. We ask that any rate increase requests be suspended until an independent audit of the operations of the utility can be conducted. Should such an audit conclude that an increase to the rate is warranted, then so be it. We are willing to pay for a utility that is operated efficiently and effectively, provides a good product, and responds to the needs of its ratepayers. We are not willing to pay for inefficiencies, poor management, and a product that is of poor quality. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, George. Okay. There's a Darcy who indicated that she does not wish to speak, but she's opposed. We'll keep your card. And then Janet Hilgart, if you're here. And the next person to speak would be Scott Moran. If you want to come up, Scott. I don't know if we have an empty chair up here, but you're next on. Please, ma'am. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you for having me. I just love what that guy he just said everything. That was the greatest person in the world. Anyway, I was here to complain about the water also. Our water is horrible. It's not fit to drink. We've been here since 2004, the early part of 2004. I live in Copper Basin.
I don't think I can hear you. There you go.
I live in Copper Basin, and I've been there for 13 years. All these years that I have been living there, my water bill's been like $5,000, $6,000. Maybe sometimes in the summer it'll go up to $7,000. Back in November, it jumped up to 16,000 gallons, okay? Why? There's 2 people in the house. There's nothing wrong. My water system was turned off outside. We have an above-ground pool which was closed down for the winter. Does not have a leak. My husband takes care of that. When I called, they sent a technician. Nope, there's nothing wrong with your meter. Nothing wrong with my meter. Somebody's reading it wrong or putting an extra 0 on here that shouldn't be, or extra 2 zeros. Went out to look, no place. Before I called, went out, my husband and I walked around to check to see if there was a leak. No leak, no leak. Called them, they sent the technician out. We'll call you. I'm still waiting since November for somebody to call me back. They haven't called me back. Next month, December, 6,000 gallons. Okay, that doesn't compute. January, 6,000. February, 7,000. No leaks. Then somebody says, well, maybe your neighbors are using your water. No, no, because we have you have an outside hose thing. No, we're here, we're retired, we're home all the time. If I'm not there, my husband's there. If they turn that one on to use their water, say they want to water their trees or something, they turn it on. It makes a horrendous noise in our house. We would know that.
Can I ask a clarifying question? When you said somebody had said maybe it was your neighbor's water, was that someone from the utility?
No, okay. No. It was from a rant that I put on Facebook because I was mad also. You know, I said no. And I says not only that, but we checked, and no, it's not so. Water's not fit to drink. We came from Illinois. We had Lake Michigan water. Best water you could ever have. And if anybody is here from Illinois or that has had Lake Michigan water can testify to that. That water's pretty good. We have, for 14 years, lived in a house with well water, our own well, which pumped out, came through our house, was clearer than Johnson Utilities water. And it actually, you could actually drink it. We're making Walmart rich by buying bottled water because we can't drink this water. So I'm not happy. Rate increase? Not only no, but hell no. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott? If you could indicate your neighborhood, appreciate it.
Santan Heights. Matter of fact, I just live about a block and a half from here.
Santan Heights. Welcome.
Yep. Okay. I lived here since '09. Bought our house. We moved from Indiana. Water bills aren't that bad compared to some of these people. I feel sorry for them. But the quality of the water is my problem. We buy bottled water. We buy 5-gallon bottles from Walmart. We bought bottled water from Fry's and every place else because we're afraid to drink the water. And that's, you know, that's where it's at, guys. If you can't trust the product, why use it? We take baths, and if we cook with it, we cook very little. We use bottled water in our coffee pots and everything else. That's all I got to say. I am opposed to it, though. Excuse me. I am opposed to a rate increase. Thank you.
Nancy Sakota and Logan Smith. Dual team. Come on up.
We would like to thank you for the opportunity to talk tonight. We'd like to thank Todd House and Mike Goodman, because without them, we probably wouldn't be here. We have a 20-plus year relationship with Johnson Utilities, so we might be a couple minutes longer than the 3 minutes, but we'll try to stay on. We welcome your questions afterwards. My wife and I started buying properties in Queen Creek, which is now Santan Valley, in 1997. We received a flyer/mailer from Johnson Utilities 20-plus years ago, asking property owners if they had interest on Virgil Drive, if we had an interest on getting water on Virgil Drive, and were willing to make a financial commitment. They wanted a $2,000 deposit, and there was a telephone number on the bottom of the page. We called that number. It was a pet store in Scottsdale, Arizona. We inquired as to who this man was. He said, well, he was a personal friend of George Johnson's. Okay, that would be used to bring water lines, he explained, from Johnson. We called on the phone from Johnson Ranch, excuse me, I kind of skip over. He explained that there would be no guarantees as to when we would get water. And I said, okay, if we pay the $2,000, can you tell me 60 days, 6 months, a year? He says, I can't tell you 5 or 10 years, but it is a non-refundable deposit. You will not get it back, and whatever the rates are when we bring it in, that is just to hold your spot. Okay, in the meantime, having lost many prospective tenants, we're landlords. We have 25 houses out here. We've drilled 5 wells. We've never got a complaint in 20 years on any of our 5 wells from any of our tenants. So why is our water so good and Johnson's so bad? Ours doesn't stink. It doesn't taste bad. It's not cloudy. It's the same wells. It's the same water. I say this because the water from our wells is good. I don't know what happens to Johnson. I don't know what they do to it. But I do know that it's not fit to drink.
I'm Nancy Sankata, I'm Logan's wife, and we've had several issues with Johnson Utilities. In April of 2016, we received a letter from Johnson Utilities postmarked March 31st, 2016, which I have the letter, stating Johnson Utilities was bringing water lines down Virgil Drive, almost 20 years after they asked us for a deposit, okay? They were also offering financing through January 31st, 2016. So they postmarked it on March 31st, but the offer had expired 2 months before the letter was actually mailed. Okay? We contacted Johnson Utilities and were told they would extend the financing offer because we were hooking up 3 properties up on Virgil Drive. Great. We tell our tenants. 2 days later, we're told they would not extend the offer even though the letter was postmarked March 31st. Okay, so now we're committed to our tenants because we told them we were bringing in Johnson Utilities. All right? That's one issue. When we moved into our new house, Johnson Utilities charged us water and sewer. We're on septic. Okay? If we hadn't caught it, I really doubt that they would have corrected it voluntarily. All right? How many other people do they do that to? When our properties on Virgil Drive were connected, we had way too much pressure. I'm not kidding you, the PVC pipes blew, okay? We were forced, Johnson Utilities forced us to buy and install pressure reducers. That doesn't make sense to me. When we moved into our current neighborhood, well, actually the current neighborhood that we live in now, we moved in 2012, 6 years after our development was finished. One of our neighbors who was trying to get fire insurance about 2 years ago was told that the neighborhood did not have working fire hydrants. We have fire hydrants, but they had never been charged. Our neighbor called Johnson Utilities, but got no return calls. He finally went down there because he was tired of calling and not getting any help. But there was no one there to help him. He was told no one knew how to turn the water on to the fire hydrants. They didn't know where the valves were and that someone from their office would have to drive to their office in Scottsdale. This took 3 months. Our neighborhood was unprotected for nearly 10 years. That's wrong. In my opinion, Johnson Utilities is not a reputable company. And now they want another rate increase? For what? A job well done? For good water? Nope. You guys owe us more than this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Please.
I'm going to say goodnight to these guys.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you. Jan, excuse me, Kreisinger? Welcome, Jan.
Hi. Thank you for the opportunity to voice my concerns. After hearing what I've heard tonight, I feel like my complaints are minor. But I will say, my husband and I moved here in 2007. We live in Solera. We bought our home new. We had heard that water quality was poor, so we immediately installed a water softener system. We, of course, had new appliances. 7 years later, our dishwasher no longer functioned. Our washing machine was leaking, and we tried repair, and we couldn't repair it. So we purchased new appliances, approximately $3,000. We also decided, because in the shower grout, there were rust stains that were very difficult to remove, that we would eliminate the water softener and put in a whole house water conditioning system. We had RO filters that looked like that, so we got rid of the RO system. Long story short, we spent about $8,000 changing out appliances and putting in a new water filtering system for the whole house. And we've been about 3 years now with this, and we're having no problems at all. I did, however, have a problem with the Johnson Utilities business office. We were on vacation. Our bill came in approximately the day we left on vacation. We arrived home the day the payment was due, and I didn't have time to get the payment to them directly, but I mailed it. And then I got a disconnect notice from them a few days later. And the disconnect notice was that we had like 5 days to pay this $32.07 before they would disconnect us. And they said they would disconnect on a certain day. Well, I called 2 days after the notice came in, and I said, I don't have time to come in. I'll give you my credit card number. I want to pay this bill. Okay, fine. I don't like giving my credit card number out to people, to organizations to pay my bill. But I did it so they wouldn't disconnect me. And the clerk I was talking to said it'll be, I don't know, 3137, not 3107. And I said, well, the bill says it's 3107, and that I have until, I don't remember the date, but I have until March 5th to pay this. She says, oh, well, this is extra interest. Now, I know it was only 30 cents, but I was furious because I'm paying this late fee 3 or 4 days before the late fee they told me was due. But I'm so fed up with them. I'm so tired of the lack of water pressure and the poor water quality and the problems it's caused in my house that I wasn't going to argue with them anymore over 30 cents. However, I believe their billing practices were incorrect and perhaps even unlawful. So I'm not happy with, and I've tried to stay quiet because I don't want to be targeted by a utility company that's a monopoly, but they're not serving us well. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Ben Malesio. Ben?
Yeah.
You're on.
First of all, thank you for coming here and listening to us.
Thank you.
Like Jan, I feel silly here because, I mean, after all these things I've heard from, like, Pecan Creek, I was going to move there when we first moved here, like 9 years ago. Thank God we didn't. I'm in Santan Village, Circle Cross Ranch area. We've had numerous issues with you guys, but, I mean, nothing major like some of these poor people. My heart goes out to them. Last April, May, I had an issue with the water program. We got billed for 7,000 gallons that I have no idea where it went or what happened to it. So I immediately called your people. You sent a technician out immediately, which I really appreciated it. He came out, he went through my whole property. We've got no pool. I've even got our irrigation system tied off because I was afraid because somehow I think there was leaks in there or something like that, so I shut that off and I just watered the plants manually. He went through everything. He checked the meter. He said, nothing wrong with the meter, no leaks, no nothing, no issues. And he was one of your people. And he told me, he said, well, I see you've got a 6-foot border wall around your property. Maybe your neighbors are coming in and stealing your water. Okay, a lot of them have pools, and I told them, no, I don't think so, because most of them are a lot better off than we are, and I don't think they have a reason to come and steal our water. So, you know, I mean, they've got lights, palm trees, and everything else. We don't have all that stuff, nothing fancy. So I said, no, I don't believe it. So he says, well, check your meter every day, make a log, write it down, make sure. why do I have to go through all this? It didn't make sense because before that, I had never had a problem with it. It was always like 4,000 gallons, which now I think is kind of extreme for just my wife and myself. And I'm retired, so, I mean, we don't use that much water, and 2 dogs. The dogs used it up. And then, so I told him, I said, I don't understand this. What's going on? He says, well, just keep the meters, check the meters. And I tried that, but it didn't work out. I mean, that's crazy. Another thing was phone responses. When I had issues, when I wanted to call in and pay a bill, I would be number 66, number 62, number 68, number 58. Well, last week I called in because it was the due date. So, procrastinator, I'm guilty. I lucked up, I got to be number 31. And I waited, just like I did so many times before. I got all the way down to number 1. Oh, thank God I made it. Then it told me, you're number 1. Then it hesitated. You're number 1. It hesitated. You're number 1. It hesitated. Then it says, please leave a message. Like every other time I've called. That's ridiculous. Why do I have to? I immediately jumped in my car. I raced down to the office, to your office out here. And I came into the office and I said, my God, it's going to be flooded. I walked in there. There was not one single person in there. I was the only customer in there with 2 clerks there. And just like always, I've seen people walk from one office to the other, back and forth in there. All the time, constantly. I was, well, okay, fine. Well, you guys are busy. She said, well, we've got people in the back making the calls and all that. Well, fine. God bless you for that, you know. She said, we stay till 7 o'clock. I said, well, I've called a dozen times and I've got maybe 1 call back. And so anyway, I told her, I said, you know what? I said, maybe you need to talk to your bosses and have them hire, you know, another person. And the other clerk turned around and said, 1 person, we need a hell of a lot more than 1 person more. Okay, that's your people. I went through all this, okay. And the one gal told me that if I didn't like the service, because I do, I make a fuss about it and everything. She told me, you don't like the service? Go somewhere else. Where am I gonna go? You know, and then she told me, this was your person, your gal at the counter, told me, it's none of my, I was ready to walk out and forget about it, okay, let it go, it's a lost battle. Then she said, it's none of my business. No, I've worked in retail, I worked for a monopoly back in Illinois, the Bell system. I worked for them, I know firsthand about that. When she told me it's none of her business, no, it is your business. If you work for a company, you're supposed to take responsibility with that company. You're supposed to be there for the people. You're supposed to help the people. Don't sit here and tell me it's not your business. It is your business. So that's it. I guess that's it. I've got a million other things, but I'd go on forever. So, but thank you for listening to it, and I hope you guys can do something. And I am very opposed to this. Very opposed to it.
Thank you, Ben. Michael Vols. Michael? I think it's spelled, yeah, you got it, great. Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me up.
Thank you, Mike.
My name is Michael Voles. I've been a Johnson Ranch resident for 13 years now. I also have my business here, and I'm a realtor. One of the things that I'd like to tell everybody behind me is who had a concern about their property value going up is one of the first questions, I'm sure I'm not the only realtor in here, but one of the first questions that come when people look at homes here is who do the utilities belong to? Is it Johnson Utilities? And that is a factor in the home prices here. But the real reason I came up was 2 years ago, almost to the day, and I will give this to you in a moment, I wrote a letter to the Corporation Commission regarding Johnson Utilities. In that, I said 13 years ago, my wife and I purchased our home in Johnson Ranch. Although we're not golfers, one of the items that drew us to the area is that we had a finished professional golf course. We believe that the golf course would allow our home values to stay higher and a good investment into the future. In the years that followed, we'd seen many changes in the amount of growth in Santan Valley. Now, sadly, there are the reports of Johnson Utilities refusing to sell their effluent to the Johnson Ranch Golf Course and deciding to raise its rate for water by a factor of 500%. This would devastate our home values since the golf course is tied to, as a community center and also has a restaurant. It's one of the primary draws to the area and for Valley residents and one of the more highly desirable golf courses in the area. In the years that have followed, there have been multiple incidents where water has not been safe, there have been pressure problems, and many of these cases where customers have wanted to go to court, and Johnson Utilities has responded by tying plaintiffs up so long and making legal threats that the complainants have had to drop their cases. Johnson Utilities has no competition and possesses a true geographic monopoly which they continue to abuse. Even now, their attorneys say the Arizona Corporation Commission lacks jurisdiction. The company needs to have their unlimited power in the area made smaller, not only for the Johnson Ranch Golf Course, but for all the residents in the area. Because of this, I ask that you do not allow Johnson Utilities to choose not to use their effluent as, use Johnson Utilities, screwing up here.
It's okay.
Johnson Utilities to choose not to allow their effluent to be used by the golf courses, but to allow their natural competition to come into the area so that Johnson Utilities can finally have a tether on the power in this area. Thank you for your consideration. This is 2 years ago, and today we're having the same conversation, except nothing has been done to treat the quality of the water. Now I'm a grandfather, and my grandchildren can't be at my house sometimes because of the water quality. And I'm not the only one here. I don't even need to turn around to say there are about 250 people in the room, and by a show of hands, if I asked them to raise their hands, I would say, how many people want to make more money? And I'm pretty sure they would all raise their hands. But have they deserved it? Has Johnson Utilities earned the right to do that? Because we are experiencing the same problems and the exact same financial situation today that we had when I wrote this letter on March 14th, 2016. So I am opposed to it. And what I'm going to ask is that, first of all, they not be allowed to raise their rates, but if they are, if it's even going to be a consideration, then allow us to have a choice in our utility service. Allow us to have our choice and let the monopoly go. Let the true geographic monopoly and let the residents of the community choose who is going to be their water provider. Because if that was the case, I guarantee their rates will not go up, and if they do, that Johnson Utilities will be out of business once and for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks. Okay, is it Donovan Adamczyk? Or I believe it's D-O-N-A-V-E-R, Donover? Okay, I apologize. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it. Donovan Adamczyk is my name.
Okay.
We were Johnson Utilities company or customers in the Anthem area for about 10 years. Never really had any issues with them out there. We moved out here about 2 years ago to Santan Heights, and that's when the circus kind of started for us. Again, like I said, we never really had any issues with them in Anthem. Our water was always just kind of fine. It was nothing great. I ended up having to replace all the cartridges in the showers, whatever. We just attributed that to the calcium in the water. We move out here, keep getting notices about the quality of the water. Then within, probably, just about a year after we moved out here, we got hit with one of the 29,000-gallon bills. And it seems like that doesn't seem like that's an odd thing out here, apparently, because it seems like a lot of people have the same issue with these crazy high bills. Call up the customer service, they say, okay, they were actually really, really good. We'll give the customer service some credit there. They were great. Their theories were you have a leak or somebody, again, stealing your water, which I kind of stopped there and said, okay, I live in the middle of my neighborhood, dead center in the middle of the street. Somebody backed up a water truck to my house, right? Took a green line off the side of my house, hooked it into that water truck, and filled up 29,000 gallons worth of water. And nobody said anything about it, right? Is that her thought? And, you know, she kind of laughed and she's like, okay, yeah, that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but maybe you have leak. Okay, fine. So I called 2 different plumbers and the Johnson Utilities tech out to my house, and one plumber comes out, walks the house, says, no, man, you're great. There's nothing going on here. We have low water usage plants and everything in our house. And as the second plumber shows up, that's when the Johnson Utilities tech showed up at the same time. So the conversation between the two of them, as they both walked my house with me, you know, initially the Johnson Utilities employee was like, well, you know, this is all on you, this is your problem. I'm not sure what could have caused this leak, or what the issue is. By the end of the conversation with the plumber and the Johnson Utilities guy, his statement was like, well, I don't know what they're doing. So now it's not about, you know, he's basically saying Johnson Utilities is them, not me. So I found that kind of interesting. Yeah, that's been my main issue with them. The quality is just, it's not good. I can't understand where the interest is in this 23% or 23% increase. And I worked in the credit card industry for years before I got into my current profession. 23% was a punitive rate. If somebody did something wrong, that's when you increase their rate that amount. And to me, this feels like this is a punitive thing. I mean, feels like the company's coming back at the community for finally giving them a little bit of pushback and saying, okay, fine, here's how we're going to handle that. Here's 23%. It seems wrong. And the other issue, and I can't say it's entirely caused by the water, but we had a healthy dog for 9 years, moved out here, and within about a year, yeah. So we moved out here within 9 months after moving out here. He developed throat and tongue cancer, and we had to have him put down. So there's just a whole lot of issues we have with the company. I don't feel that there's anything that justifies that rate increase at this time. So that's kind of what I got. So.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Jared Miller. And then we have David Knoll. Dave, you want to come up and be ready? You guys are doing real well with the 3 minutes, a little bit more or less, sometimes more. If you can stick with that, that's fine. We should be able to get through this. We have about 11 more speakers.
Hello, thanks for the opportunity to get up and speak here tonight. I've lived in this area for about 6 years. For about 5.5 of those years, I lived in Pecan Creek, where we had Queen Creek water over there, but we did have Johnson Utility sewage. As to the comment about the sewage, my house was featured on one of the news broadcasts last year about the sewage running through my backyard, right out next to my house. We're talking about a manhole cover this big, floating at least 6 to 8 inches off the ground with brown sewer water and toilet paper coming out and running like a brown river right down next to our house. ABC, NBC, all of those news companies came out, interviewed us, took video of it, and was on the news. We had enough of the sewer smell in that neighborhood, so we decided to move. My kids, I have 6 kids, they go to LA, Ironwood right over here, and they didn't want to change schools. So we tried to find a place to live here locally. We moved into our home in Sterling in Johnson Ranch, just down the road. And since then, when I was at the other property, we had about $150 to $175 water bill on our worst month. Same amount of children in the house. We had a swimming pool in the backyard. Since we've been to this house, our water bills have been anywhere from $250 at the very lowest to $600 at the highest. I've been there 6 months. I have a copy of our water usage right here on my phone. It goes, when we moved in there, our first bill came out in July. It was 54,000 gallons of water. The very next month in August, 37,000 gallons of water. September, 30,000 gallons of water. October, 74,000 gallons of water. 63,000 gallons of water in November. December, 38,000 gallons of water. When we've called down there, we've had the same thing that you've heard here tonight. I'm not going to spend time going over it. Somebody's either taken the water, you've left a hose on, you've got an irrigation leak. 74,000 gallons of water. If you took, that's 10,000 cubic feet of water 28 feet from that flagpole to that wall is approximately 28 feet square, 12 feet deep. There's absolutely no way, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. You know, you just don't know. I'm afraid to open the monthly bill to see what our water bill is going to be. It's insane. And if I could, I would disconnect from Johnson Utility Water. I'd drill my own well on the property if I possibly could. I mean, it'd be well worth it for me. $600 a month, that's some people's house payment, you know. It's insane. I have no faith in Johnson Utility from what started over there in the sewage. I wish I would have stayed over there, to be honest with you, because at least we didn't have this water problem. But with what we have here now, I don't trust them. I wouldn't trust them to clean my swimming pool, let alone clean my water.
Is your lot size the same size?
Well, no, it's a much bigger lot. It is. But there's absolutely no reason for that. I mean, I could understand if it was consistently 54,000 gallons of water, but it's 74,000. It's down to 30,000. I mean, we're not doing anything different within the home. They've never found any leaks. We've never had any other problems that would indicate that there was a problem that would justify. I mean, do we have a leak that leaks out 74,000 gallons of water and the leak seals itself off, and then the next month it's 30,000 gallons it leaks? I mean, it's impossible.
So regarding taking these, this specific issue that's reoccurring, would you connect with our staff over there at the table if we could get a copy of those bills included in that
I'd be
portion of
happy
the
to.
docket? Would that work?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
David? Hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you. So,
oh, I'm sorry. State your name and neighborhood,
David
please.
Noel. So, you've obviously heard a lot of people, a lot of the same things. Customer service issues, unfortunately, it's a private company. We can pray for customer service corrections, but it doesn't have to happen. We've been out here since 1999, out in the Santan Valley area. We've been at Johnson Ranch for about 9 years now. People are furious. The residents are furious. I've been in this community a long time. We're furious about the odors in Magic Ranch. They're furious about the odors in Pecan Creek. The water pressure, we have, they say, use a water filtration service. Great. I have a $3,000 water softener. Can't use it because my water pressure is too low. Well, I get the same answer. We're only required to supply 25 PSI. I've done plumbing in the years. Standard city pressure is about 60 PSI. That's about average to what you see in most municipalities. We get promised 25. So I have about 35 to my house. I have an ongoing meter, which actually Johnson Ranch has forgot about. It's been on my house for about 8 months now, and they don't even realize that it's there anymore. But I have a nice water pressure meter there. I manage rentals. The first question I get asked, do you have Johnson Utilities in the rentals? Yes. Oh, thanks for your time. I have problems finding tenants for these houses because they're Johnson Utility sites. Some of the things that haven't been is the corruption. The rates of the effluent water to Johnson Ranch, which will kill the property values in Johnson Ranch. It just so happens that Mr. Johnson owns a competing golf course, kind of iffy. Restricting access to the standpipe to people that have to haul their water back behind Walmart. We have community back there that has to haul their water. Access has been restricted, and you're only allowed to use a particular water hauling company. It's owned by a family member of George Johnson. So I have family in Mesa. I've grown up in Arizona. I've been in Arizona my entire life. Family in Mesa. Right now I'm paying about 3 times their rate for similar square footages, which is about $220 a month with no pool. So I'm buying poison at 3 times the rate of what they're paying for water in Mesa. And that all infuriates us, but some of the things that I see that doing to our community, our community church spends $1,400 to $1,600 a month in water bills. That money can go to help the community, but unfortunately they're in Copper Basin and they're stuck paying those rates. What my main point would be is the audacity for Johnson Utilities to request a rate hike when the owner is under indictment for supposed illegal rate hikes and bribery and fraud. That's some guts. I mean, that's guts to request a rate hike in the midst of a scandal. Johnson Utilities is killing this community. They have choked this community. They have kept it from growing, and they will continue to choke this community until it dies. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. I do have a statement from Verta, I think Walter. She doesn't want to speak, but she said she has bills and pictures of meter readings. Please provide those to us before you leave. Provide that to staff. That could be helpful. Thank you. And then we have Jeremiah Andrews, who wishes to speak.
I want to bring that. I live in Magic Ranch, Iron Horse, off Arizona Farms. So was reading through Johnson's request, and one of the things they have in their request is it says Johnson Utilities submits that its current rates are inadequate to allow the company to obtain debt, maintain a sound credit rating, and/or enable the company to attract additional capital on reasonable and acceptable terms in order to continue the investment in the utility plant necessary to adequately serve customers. So looking at that wording, you think, well, first of all, there's nothing in there that really states customers until the end. It is all about Johnson Utilities. It seems that their concern is Johnson Utilities, not the customer. Secondly, you look at the word adequate. You're going to increase your rates for adequate. Adequate, you look at what that means, is acceptable. It's not exemplary. It's not superior. It's just average to meet, the 25 pressure, PSI pressure. You look at that and, well, what are they offering? What are they offering with this adequate service? We have smelly, foul-tasting water. We have low water pressures. Where I live, we are just north of the water treatment plant, about 500 yards. God-awful, reeking smell from that waste treatment plant. And I can't imagine what the people in Magic Ranch live, what they have. The ponds, driving past, you drive past Santan, you drive on Hunt Highway, the ponds that reek, you're just driving past it, it reeks. The other thing we experience down there where those treatment plants are is swarms, and I'm not talking a few mosquitoes, I'm talking swarms of mosquitoes. Our porches are solid every morning coming out in the summertime, covered, where you see how all these dots on the ceiling here? Those would be mosquitoes. That bad. I have never in my life seen that. There is no reason for that. It just comes down to, they want an increase for this adequate service that they're providing, which, we've heard of this adequate service and how great it is. So they're asking for this, and to the last gentleman's, the gall to request this rate hike. It's just ridiculous. I am absolutely 100% opposed to this increase. We already pay increased costs in buying our own water. We're paying for water, and we have to buy water. Why are we doing that? That's just ridiculous. Between purchasing water, filters, reverse osmosis systems, we're already paying an increased rate. For what? So that we can actually get a service that we need and additionally pay Johnson Utilities for whatever they're doing. Basically, I just want to say, I'm opposed to this, and at this point, we're looking to you guys to really help us out. And if you can, we're going to speak with our votes. We will speak with our votes and get this changed. This has to change. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Helen Williams. And then we have, I'll announce the name later. I'll work on it. Helen, welcome.
Hi there. I, too, appreciate your time. I do not appreciate the water that I'm being served and that I'm paying for. Like a lot of these people have said, my water is smelly. Unfortunately, my daughter's bathroom, every time we turn it on, it smells like spoiled rotten eggs. in their bathroom every time we turn it on. The color, their same bathroom, can be very horrible. So this water, we've been here since about 10 years, okay? We built our house in Rancho Bella Vista. The water now, we have, of course, all new appliances. The water is now just killing our appliances. The dishwasher, I heard somebody else say that. Dishwasher, it has black, I don't even know what it is, looks like mold in the bottom. We don't use that anymore. Our sinks, our porcelain are all being ruined by whatever this sediment is coming out and just killing my home is being ruined by this water. The high volumes of what we're paying is ridiculous. When I call and say, you know, why is it so much this month, which is every other month? Why is it higher this month, the leakages? Well, they told us it could be irrigation. Our irrigation was actually turned off because we can't tell if there's a leak there, so we just turned it off. They're telling us it's probably that. My biggest complaint here today is what someone just said. They're asking us to pay more money for an increase when we're already paying so much money in bottled water. We drink nothing but bottled water in my home. We give the dogs nothing but bottled water in our home. We prepare our meals with nothing but bottled water. What am I paying for? What am I paying for? Why? Why am I paying for it when I'm buying it from Fry's every week? Cases and cases and cases of water. It's old, it's tired, I'm sick of it. Like, I'm up to here. This is my biggest complaint. We love our neighborhood and are thinking about moving because of Johnson's Utilities. Best place to raise our children, but we're poisoning them. We're afraid we're poisoning them with the water. It's unacceptable. It has to be changed, and we are opposed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Okay. Charles Wildberger. Charles is, I believe, Wildberger? Bergen? Anywhere near that? Yeah. Good. Thank you.
Okay, everybody. I'm Charles Wildberger. I came here from work, so I wasn't really prepared to get here. But I will tell you, I was an employee of Johnson Utilities. I've worked.
Please.
I've had people try to run me off the road. Trust me. I worked 5 years in the sewer plant back in Missouri, and we had nothing like what you guys have here. Nothing. Yeah, there's people getting sewage in their yards, but do you know that the water plant down here, when they dump sewage and overloads, it goes back into the ground? We need to fix that. I was a technician for Johnson Utilities. I did all our electrical work, I took care of their pumps, and I tried to make things right. But I was fired because I wouldn't do something that was against the law. All right? So, as far as raising our rent or our water bills, nah. First of all, you need to get people that are qualified to take care of the equipment that you have, because the people that are working there aren't really qualified to give the water to the people back here. I know, I worked for them. So that's the first thing you need to take care of, is getting quality people to take care of the equipment. I've done some serious, dirty work for your company, and it got me nowhere, but I lost my job. So I'm against it, and if this ever goes to court, you know, hey, I'd be happy to stand up to the people in Santan and protect them. All right? Because all we're doing is you're raising the rate because we got to pay for his lawyers.
Okay. Please, Arthur Bryle? Arthur? Welcome, Arthur.
Thank you for your time. Like others coming in from work. Been living out in Santan with my girlfriend for about a year, and I've been humping water ever since. I'm like, what's going on with this water out here? You know? Found out there was a meeting here, and started hearing a little bit about Johnson's Ranch and all the land, you know, that's owned. And I told her, you know, these people aren't water treatment people. They're farmers. What do they know about treating water? You get what you pay for. Everybody said, you know, what's going on and the troubles they've been having. Hey, until you get somebody that knows what they're doing here, it won't change. So I'll continue humping water, I guess. Good evening.
Thank you. Hillary Monroe. Hillary? Is Hillary still here? Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't look that way. I apologize.
No, that's fine. I'm sorry I'm not dressed to speak with you. I hadn't actually intended on coming. I saw the
fine.
I saw the crowds that were here for the first 2 meetings this morning because I work right there. And I saw the people driving up and wondering where to go and where to park. And our poor parents who were dropping off preschoolers had nowhere to park, and it was quite a mess. And I figured, with all of those people, what good is my voice? But then I saw a post by a friend on Facebook reminding us to come here today and give our voice. And so I thought I would come with no intention of actually speaking, but just to hear what was going on. And within 5 minutes, I realized I needed to give my voice. So my first question is, to the people of Johnson Utilities, do you drink the water? Because we don't. We don't drink the water. Is there anyone in here who drinks the water?
Nope.
That should say something. That should say something to you. That there's no one in this room, and I could probably guarantee you, I wasn't here, but for the first 2 meetings and then the next 3 meetings you're gonna have, if you ask the people if they drink the water, you'll be lucky if you get 1 hand up. And we're talking hundreds of homes, thousands of homes in this community who won't drink your water. This water is driving people from the community. Not just because it's not potable, but it's because it's too expensive. We're paying so much already for water we can't even consume. So that is one reason why I myself and my family were thinking of moving from this community. This community is too expensive for us, which is ridiculous because it's one of the cheaper communities in Arizona. The smell of water from our home, the cloudiness, the drains that are constantly clogged by the sediment left behind is costing us money. We have water leaks in our community, and as the water runs down the street in the community where my children play, it smells of sewer. These complaints have been voiced for years, and years and years and years. We've only been here for 5, but a lot of people here have been here longer, and it still hasn't been fixed. And you know what's really sad is we wouldn't be in this room right now voicing our concerns and voicing our complaints and telling you how I feel if you hadn't asked for a rate hike. We would still be complaining on Facebook. We would still be complaining to our neighbors, to our families, to the people we see filling up the gallons and gallons and gallons of water at Fry's or Walmart. My husband works for an energy conservation company based out of Dallas. He travels to over 10 states in the United States, serving multiple clients, all to reduce their energy usage. One of them is water. And he deals with the bills, he deals with the hikes of rates, he deals with all sorts of things, and he's never seen it as bad as where we live. We have lived in, since we've been married for almost 20 years, and we have lived in 5 different states, 5 different cities in 3 different states, and this is the worst by far that our water has ever been. And we moved from California. I know my time is probably up. We also got disconnect notices. We were told that we never paid a bill that never came in the mail. And we asked what that was about, and they said, oh, the mailing went out late this month, so you'll be getting it soon. I said, well, your disconnect notice came before the bill. How did that happen? We also got a bill that was outrageous one month. We got a bill that was outrageous one month, and we called asking what that was about. And they told us the same thing that's been told here. There must be a leak, someone's stealing your water, blah, blah, blah. Well, guys, we're a family of 6. Both of my husband and I both work to pay for our bills and to pay for the things that we need in our family. We couldn't afford to have some guy come out and dig up our driveway, which is where the guy who came out to look at stuff said that must be where the leak is, under your driveway. We couldn't afford to have some guy come out and take a look at that and then redo our driveway, so we sat on the bill for a month and just kind of figured out, what are we going to do? We'll pay this bill, but what are we going to do about this leak that we can't find? Guess what? Next month, there was no leak. Our bill was back to normal, and we had done nothing to change it.
Okay, could you wrap up, please?
I just want to know, is anyone in this room in favor?
Ma'am, please.
If I will finish, I had to wait for you guys to stop talking, so you can wait just a moment. If this passes, it will be a confirmation of the corruption going on in Johnson Utilities. And you better be aware of the community backlash that will come because of the constant corruption that is going on. This needs to be taken care of. You need to fix this problem. We are putting it on the commission at this point. If it does not get fixed, not only is Johnson Utility corrupted, but so is the commission. Thank you.
Okay.
Just some clarification, and I'm glad that you came and that you were a part of this, so that you know the utility, Johnson Utilities is before us right now in this rate case process. They have requested of us to raise their rates. This hearing is part of that case. So this is a court reporter that is taking your testimony. That's part of the case. There's a number of things that are being brought up that are new, frankly, to me, and this is very helpful, but I wanted to make sure I set that dynamic. The last few people have addressed us as though we were working for the utility, and I wanted to make sure you knew that dynamic.
I just got one thing. What about this K-guard fee?
Excuse me. So we can, if you...
K-guard fee. That was supposed to, wasn't it supposed to have been reduced come like January?
The delivery fee.
We're still getting charged.
Sir, I'm sorry. You're going to, if you want to come at the stand, please, so the court reporter has to be able... Yeah, and...
Jeff Claridge.
Hi, Jeff.
That K-guard fee. The replenish fee that you get charged, we get charged? You know what I'm talking about.
Well, let me give a little bit of history why the commission itself has asked Johnson Utilities to do a rate case. They have not had a rate case for a number of years. And the reason for that is not necessarily to deal with the rate alone, but to be able to do full investigation of all these issues that you've brought up to us. Okay. We will be able, through our staff and as a commission, to look into these issues completely because of the nature of that process.
Okay.
So,
but my question was, that extra fee that we're paying per 1,000 gallons. It's a delivery fee. It's K-guard, I think it's called. Groundwater replenishing fee. And we're paying almost twice what it should be.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to have expired in January.
What I'd recommend is if you connect with our staff and they'll tell you the process of submitting a question to the docket to get an answer, we're prohibited from responding right now. This is part of a legal process where we are listening to the public, and we are listening. We can't respond to specific questions, but if you were to submit something to the docket, you could get a response at that way.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
was wondering why we're still paying for it when it was supposed to have expired.
Okay, well, it's a good question, but yeah, if you could let staff know, and we'll get that in the docket, but the key is, I think I could talk about the procedure. The procedure of the rate-making case, though, will allow all these things to be addressed fully, first beginning with staff and then with the commission. So, and I'll review how you can get more information in the docket. That's very, very important for us to be able to understand what you've gone through, okay? We have a few more speakers. I know it's been a long evening, but let's hear from everyone who's filled out a card. Dominique Arcus, 3 minutes, please, ma'am, so we can get through everything. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for listening to us.
If you could put the microphone down a little bit, indicate your name. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm from the Morning Sun Farm subdivision over here by Beezer.
If you
Morning Sun Farm subdivision over here by Beezer, across the way from
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
everybody else. Anyway, so, yes, we don't want this increase in the water rates because I think Johnson's Utilities, Johnson's Water, is double dipping into making us pay. Every month, I am a single person. Every month I get a utility bill for my water for $77, which compared to $200, $300, $600 is probably nothing. But then on the third month I get a bill for $115. They say it's for the sewer. Every month I pay $45 for the sewer. What's going on here? Will somebody explain to me the billing system? Is there any regulation? I used to live in Gilbert. I paid for my water and my sewer $55 a month. Here we're paying pretty close to $1,200 or more a year for water service and a sewer service for people to come and pick up our trash. It doesn't make sense. I don't think anybody is regulating these people in these offices. Their customer service is, we all know, very bad. And unless you get somebody on a lucky day. And I think they're double dipping. They're just, we're paying. And I had orangutan come out and drain my water tank, and there was so much slush that came out of that thing, it was ridiculous. So we're all complaining about drinking this water. What about the water that's going on our bodies when we take our showers, when we brush our teeth, and all this other stuff that is not being processed properly or filtered through? Oh, and let's not forget the $4,000, $5,000 that we had to pay for the water softeners that we all had to get because of the water department. And then we have the plastic to deal with because we have to buy bottled water to drink. So what's with the environment here? Santan Valley is kind of cuckoo, you know what I mean? I don't understand. It's a beautiful community. It's a beautiful place to live, but we are dominated by this utility company who is going to ruin, because a lot of people are really frustrated with these people. And they won't listen to us. They won't help us. They don't consider us their customers. They just want to take our money. That's it.
Thank you, Dominique. Joe Jackson. Joe Jackson, welcome, sir. Next speaker will be Arthur Guzzi or something like that. Arthur, thank you.
Hello, thanks for giving us the opportunity to talk to the commission about what's going on with Johnson Utilities. First, we definitely don't want the increase. I don't think that it's warranted. We have yet to receive, you know, not only the customer service, but the quality product that I would think my money would be going towards. A lot of the same stuff that everyone else has been saying, so I'll go through it pretty quickly. We have major odors with the water. It either smells very harsh like chlorine, or it smells like rotten eggs. It's not consistent. It's either one or the other. Our sinks and our drains get really stinky to the point where probably maybe every 6 weeks, give or take, I take my sink drains apart where the U-joint is in my bathrooms, and I clean them out because it's black. And it's not, I mean, I have long hair, but it's not hair in the drains. I mean, it's like built up black, looks like sludge and mold, and it smells horrible. And so I've had to replace different parts of the sinks because of that. We're on our third water heater because of the sludge that keeps building up. The last one we just did about 2 months ago, the entire bottom of it just fell out. And when the tech came out, he's like, yeah, this doesn't even look like the hard water. He's like, this is just like mud in your water heater. And we have a water softener. We also have a RO system. We don't drink our water. So we are also paying to have water delivered by Sparklets every other week, I believe they come. So we get the 5-gallon jugs. And so when it comes to an increase, that's the other reason I would say no. We're not receiving a product that we can use. We have to buy outside water. But my husband, my son, and I have all had skin issues with the water that we've never had before. We moved to Arizona. We've been in Santan Heights since 2006. We built the house. All of our appliances were brand new. And anything using water has deteriorated significantly in the time that we've been in the home. And then, let's see. Another person had mentioned that they got a bill in the mail or a notice saying that they were going to get a disconnect because a bill hadn't been paid. I set my bills up to pay automatic, but I can never do that with Johnson Utilities because it's not consistent. I got a disconnect notice that came in when I had already set up for the bill to be paid, and then I was told that they had received everything late because of, I forget the logistics of how they get their checks, but the banks actually have to write them checks instead of, I guess, wire transfer. And so they had stuff sitting on the desk. The lady told me that the checks that they had received in the mail were not processed. And so therefore, my bill was marked late, even though I had paid it on time. And so I think it's a little different than the other person had mentioned, but still a similar instance. But yeah, the biggest thing is just the quality, and we are definitely against the increase. But thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for bringing your family up. Arthur? Thank you, sir. How do you pronounce your last name?
Guzzi.
Guzzi, okay. And your neighborhood, please?
I'm in Santan Heights, right up the block. I've heard all about the meters, and we all know there is a problem with the meters in the billing. I'm more concerned with the quality of the water. Every year they send out a little paper thing that says all the different chemicals that are in it, and every year they are at the top limit of what's acceptable. I find it strange that they get all to the top limit and nothing is good. I mean, yeah, you get what you pay for, but I really didn't want to pay for all these other chemicals in my water. I just want water. I come from the East Coast. We could drink right out of the fountains. You could drink right out of the tap. You could drink out of a hose off of your house. Here, I wouldn't touch this stuff. I have a whole house filter. I put on a nitrate filter last year. I put it through my refrigerator filter and then finally through a Brita filter before I even look at it. I think the bottom line is I'd like to see this company out of business, to be perfectly... Maybe sometime last year, I think a lot of the people were saying, oh, Johnson Utilities might be being bought out by Florence, the town of Florence. Well, that didn't happen. Everybody was disappointed. There is a big problem with Johnson Utilities, and it's not going to go away. It's not going away.
Okay,
Rate increase is ridiculous.
Thank you, sir. Thomas Shell. Thomas Shell, please come if you wish to speak.
I wasn't going to, but I will now.
Okay. Oh, I said I do not want to speak. I apologize for that, but you can certainly speak.
That's okay. Thank you again for having us. Much of what I've heard tonight is going on with, my house and my family and our experiences. I haven't heard anything except the extremely high bills. I've been fortunate not to have any that are in the, multiple hundreds of dollars. But, the major thing is the water purity. That's, you know, a big concern for everybody. And the billing, you know, I clapped for one of the other people that mentioned something that happened to me. You know, they're having difficulty with the bank paying the bills on time. And as I just learned, it's not all the bank. It has to do with how it's processed. Maybe the check's sitting on the counter for too long. But in any case, you know, I would hope that things can be done to make it all better for all of us. If it, no worries. Just, you know, do what you can to help us out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We do have a card from Brianna Aker, who indicates some bills or issues with her bills, does not wish to speak unless she has a change of mind. We have a final speaker with Kristen Ralston. Hi, Kristen.
Hi, I too wasn't going to speak tonight, and I'm new to the community.
Okay.
I lived in North Scottsdale for 33 years and never ever received a water bill to the amount I'm receiving today in this subdivision. This reminds me of the Wickenburg Ranch Golf with the Wickenburg Private Water Company, who my late father tried to develop a golf course, and with a monopoly, it was not successful. My question to you is, did I hear you correctly that we have to have an increase so that you have staff, additional staffing to, okay, can you clarify that for me?
Yeah, it's just the process. The importance of the process, and I think I'll speak for myself. I wanted this process so that we can hear from everyone and we can investigate everything that's brought up. It's a comprehensive process that we go through. Now, there's been a request for a rate increase. That'll be one issue, but
okay.
I'm hearing a lot of other issues here that need to be addressed. That process will allow us to do so.
And I came in late, so forgive me, gentlemen, I don't know who you are or where you're from. Would you mind stating that for me?
I was originally born in Augsburg, Germany. No, we're members of the Arizona Corporation Commission.
Okay.
Okay, and we regulate utilities, including Johnson Utilities.
Okay.
We are having these public hearings as part of the process. And
part of the process of the major complaints, the fraud,
everything,
the indictments.
When you say,
what are you covering
a rate
here?
case, it doesn't mean it's only it's a comprehensive process to be able to look at everything, because everything is related to whatever.
I spent my whole life in corporate America,
yeah,
and I would be so embarrassed to sit where you two gentlemen are sitting right now that the word audacity should be used again. The audacity for this private water company to even consider an increase. I think they should be considering refunds and taking care of our medical issues. I can't believe everybody's so calm here. I am not irrational, but I'll tell you right now, if you lived in this subdivision and you had to deal with the water at hand, you wouldn't live here. And it's not fair for them to come and ask for a rate hike. They need to just leave. I don't know why the city of Florence or Queen Creek can't annex us. We are powerful out here, but yet we're treated like, I don't want to use the right word, like crap, because we're unincorporated.
We're treated like the ghetto.
Exactly, and I am so frustrated right now. Again, 33 years in North Scottsdale, on the city of Scottsdale, on Scottsdale Mountain, and never once having a bill as high as I have here, or the problems. I am shaking right now, so therefore I'm going to conclude, but I cannot even believe that I'm sitting here to protest a rate increase when all the fraud is going on. Nobody is addressing that. And wasn't it a gentleman from your entity in your department that was paid off, sir? You can use the microphone to answer me.
Ma'am, what do you want me to answer?
Was it not an employee of your department that was accepting the bribe from Mr. Johnson?
Ma'am, that was before my time, and that's something I don't. That's fine.
Oh my
no.
God!
Okay. Thank you very much.
Seriously?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. 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 Let's. let me, okay, okay. Let me just let me try wrapping it up, and I'll give it to the chairman to probably do a better job. Again, this is, sure, ma'am, yes, yes. Come to the mic, please, and could you, I'm sorry, so for the record, it's important, ma'am, please.
I'm
state your-
Janice Conan.
Thank you.
I live in
Thank
Circle
you.
Cross Ranch.
Thank you, ma'am.
I buy ice twice a week. I buy water for everything also. In my toilets and in my sinks, there's this, it's black, and it's like when you used to go play in the sand at the school and you take your magnet, and all that black stuff would come on your magnet. Well, it's all in my sinks. It's all in the water everywhere. And I did call Johnson Ranch to come out and check my water because it was really smelly. He brought a red Solo cup, and he said he put water in it. He goes, "Doesn't this look clear?" That was my response. He did not test it. He just put water in a Solo cup and said, "This looks fine to me. Have a nice day."
You should have told him to drink
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Let me, that's all the cards I have, but please keep in mind and tell your neighbors we'll be doing this 3 times again tomorrow, at 8 o'clock for 2 hours, noon for 2 hours, and 6 o'clock in the evening for 2 hours. There may be different commission members up here. We'll try to have as many here as we possibly can, but we're kind of dividing the responsibilities. But we're here to listen to you, to have all these things placed on the record. So feel free to continue placing things on the record if you think of something later today. Let me give you that docket number. It's very important. It's kind of long, but it's WS 0298-7A170392. But more importantly, call a commissioner. Yes, ma'am. Do you want to speak? We'll try to answer it. Again,
I know
there's some legal
you can't
restrictions
answer
here.
it.
Your name, please.
Oh, my name is Nancy Sancata, and I spoke earlier.
Yes, ma'am.
And I've been to a number of different meetings where they make it sound like the public has a voice, but you've already made your decision. And I want to know, have you already made your decision?
No, ma'am. We cannot legally make a decision today until all the evidence is presented. And that's very important to me as a former
So
judge.
how are we going to know what evidence is being looked at?
There's going to be a hearing before the commission. This is a beginning of the outreach to get comment from the public, to submit on the docket. Staff will have the opportunity to do the full investigation as the council or the commission here feels is important to do. Some of these items have been brought up by the chairman already, but this will be a full hearing before the commission. That hearing will be downtown.
And what kind of time frame are we looking at?
Sometimes it takes 12 to 18 months in a rate case.
Sounds like Johnson Utilities to me.
But, ma'am, the key is it has to be exhaustive enough to get the information that we need as a commission. Whether it's going to take that long, I don't know. I was just a guess. Do you have an opinion, Chairman?
Yeah, there's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of anger in this room. And I want to say from on this other side of the table, the hardest part about this for us is the limitations on us in responding and answering. It's one of the hardest things in the world where there's nothing I want more to engage in this conversation, and the limitations of this process. I cannot, until we are on the dais and we have the rate case, I can't give my opinion until that point. But I want to tell you this. I was here this morning, I was here now. This has been incredibly educational. So your frustration is being heard. Thank you for being part of the process. Stay a part of the process. So we have implemented changes at the commission to make sure that it's easy for you to stay connected. We want you to stay connected. We want to continue to hear from you. You are being listened to. And so as we go down this process together, I know that we have some folks from the local media. For those of you that won't be on the docket, I'm sure that they'll be communicating our communication about these meetings in the docket. So from that, with the limitations that we have in communicating, I look forward to continue to hear from you. Sir. Do you want to come up to the mic?
Just for a moment. I would like to do nothing more
Pardon me, Rick Laird, and I live in Rancho Bella Vista. I would like to acknowledge Mike Goodman for everything he's done to spearhead this meeting.
Anything else? Yes, ma'am, please. If you state your name.
Sure, I can.
Okay, I know you can.
Erin Tom.
Yes, ma'am.
Erin, R-E-I-N, Tom, T-H-O-M. This process, what's the name of it?
This is a process we're hearing from the citizens.
No, there must be a name of a process so I can Google it and I can find out what your procedure is.
It's a rate case.
So I Google rate case.
Rate case, and put in Johnson Utilities, and you'll get all the information.
Okay. And then you answer these questions and you send out a report after 18 months?
No, ma'am. What we're doing now is gathering all the facts, so that could be included in the rate process that's done initially by staff. We are at the end of the process as a commission where we can indicate our opinions, and that's when we're responsible in voting after hearing from you again, if necessary.
And in this process, does ADAQ have anything to say about water quality? No, are they part of your process?
They'll be part of the process, yes.
So they,
very much so. That's why they're saying, these gentlemen, okay, go ahead.
Are they going to answer the questions that we are asking you, or are they going to be part of rating, making a decision whether we're going to get this right? What are their role? Because, you know, to get these notices that we can't drink water and children under 6 months can't drink water, it's like a Flint, Michigan. I don't want to live in Flint, Michigan. I don't want it to get there, but it's getting there. I think it's embarrassing for you guys. I think it's embarrassing that you are a government agency and the government of Arizona, the state of Arizona that is 100 and a couple years, we have this issue. And I think it's embarrassing that America, that is a capitalist country where you have competition on competitive rates, you have a monopoly out here, and nobody have any opportunities to go against that. That is really, really embarrassing for you guys. So you can have a process. I actually work for the state. You can have a process, and you can answer these questions, or you can present these questions, but you already know the answers to these questions. You already know what you're gonna state in your report that I have to wait 18 months for. That part is just a part of it, I understand. Yeah. But for them to make this request to do a rate increase, for you to sit and listen to us, to bring ADEQ out here after all these years, it's an embarrassment to ADEQ. Why is it that I have to drink crappy water? 90% of my body contains water.
This community will make it a national issue if it isn't done.
Okay.
I mean,
we're going to be like Flint because we are not going to let it go.
Okay.
We're done.
No, and what you've done so far is extremely, I'm sorry, sir. Do you have something to say?
Thank you for your time and this opportunity.
Let me just wrap it up, and we can certainly talk to individuals after. Well, we're going to continue tomorrow for another 6 hours. So, if you.
Citizens that want to make comments, though. But you want to get out of here tonight, right?
It was a sign-up sheet.
You got citizens that want to make comments right now. You had a hand in there.
Sir.
They're out of hand there, but you want to wrap it up.
No, sir. No, I don't.
If tell us to wrap it up.
Sir, please.
I have a quick question. I'm using the microphone, so I'm legit. Hillary Monroe. What more could this community have done to express our outrage about this water years ago? What more could we have done? We have called our state, we have called the representatives, we have contacted Johnson Utilities, we have contacted our neighbors, we've talked to our communities. What more could we have done to improve our quality of water? Because I have a feeling after this is all over, it's still gonna be crappy water. So I wanna know how we should proceed from here.
You're doing it now, ma'am. So these comments are going on the record. Information is going on the record. All these items are going to be fully resolved through a hearing process and through a commission hearing. So please stay involved. give that information, come back tomorrow. If anyone wants to say something again tonight, please feel free to. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.